to the next point. We should ensure whatever we see is clear.
That means work is being done. We can see that it is in opposite direction.
Good day, learners at home. You are welcome to another segment of the e-learning. I am your biology teacher, Mariam Ahmed Kidadu. So today we are going to look at another topic. If you can recall, we discussed about science in our last lesson, where we discussed importance of science or usefulness of science to us. We also talked about scientific methods. That is how scientists investigate, because we know science is investigation. So we looked at so many things under that topic, science. So for today, we are going to look at what is biology. That is our main subject. So biology is a branch of science that deals with the study of nature. But biology is not an English word. It is a word from Greek, where bios means life and logos means knowledge. So in combination, biology means the study or the knowledge of life. So in essence, biology is simply defined as the study of life. Biology is broadly divided into two main branches. We have zoology as the branch of biology that deals with the study of animals. Since we said biology is a subject that deals with the study of life, and we know that plants and animals are the only creatures on the earth that have life. We have other things that do not have life, but plants and animals have life. So in the plants and animals, when you are dealing with the study of animals, you are dealing with the branch of biology known as zoology. Then whenever you are dealing with the study of plants, you are now dealing with the study of botany. These are the two main branches of biology, but that we have other sub-branches, but the two main branches are zoology, which deals with the study of animals, then botany, which deals with the study of plants. Other sub-branches of biology include anatomy. Anatomy is the study of the structures of these plants and animals, or the structures of plants and animals. Then we have physiology, biochemistry, we have ecology, we have parasitology, entomology, genetics, etc. These are not the only sub-branches, there are many. But for the purpose of time, we are going to stop here. As we go into the topic, we might be discussing them one after another. But for now, you should know that we have other sub-branches of biology, which are the physiology, entomology, parasitology, and the rest. So after that, we are going to look at living and non-living things. Since we said biology is the study of living things. So what are those living things we are talking about? Everything on earth can be classified into living and non-living. Those that have life are the living things, while those that do not have life are the non-living things. So example of living things can be plants and animals. These plants you see around, flowers, trees, and the rest, they are all living things because they have life. Then apart from plants, you have animals that move around. The human beings, dogs, cats, even ants, as small as you see them, they are things that have life. So as far as biology is concerned, we are going to be concerned with the study of these creatures, the plants and the animals. While anything that does not have life belongs to non-living thing. We have something like stone, cars, the sun, the moon, the tables around you in the class, your books, your uniforms, your shoes. These are all things that are non-living things. So you now know the difference between living and non-living. living are those things that have life, while non-living things are those things that do not have life. Let's now look at characteristics of living things. What we mean is these living things we are talking about, that is those things that have life, plants and animals, they have certain characters which makes them to be living things. What are those characters? That is what we are going to look at in this topic, characteristics of living things. So these characteristics of living things are about 10 or more than that. So for the purpose of time, we are going to pick one after the other to look at the characteristics. The first characteristic is sensitivity or irritability. What do we mean by sensitivity and what is irritability? Irritability is the ability of living organisms, that is that plants and animals, to detect a change in the environment. Ability of living organisms, both the plants and the animals, to detect any change in their environment. That ability is known as sensitivity or irritability. That sensitivity makes the plant and the animals to be aware of the environment. Or we say simply response to stimuli is what is known as irritability. Example, as you are now all sitting in the class, or maybe you are at home, if anybody should come around and maybe pinch you, you will definitely react. That pinching gives you a sensitivity of pain. By you reacting, the pain is now making you now to respond to the stimuli of pain. So both plants and animals are very sensitive. Whenever there is any change in the environment, they respond to that change. It could be water, it could be pain, it could be heat, it could be cold, it could be high temperature. Any change in the environment, a living organism will have to react or will have to respond to that. So that response to stimuli is what is known as irritability. Both plant and animals have this character of sensitivity or irritability. Then the next character or the next characteristic is growth. Growth is the ability of living organism to increase, permanently increase in size and maybe in weight. That is, you students, you know that when you were born, you were very small. Then as time goes on, you were growing 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. That process of increasing is what we term growth. And we say it is irreversible and permanent because you cannot grow up to 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, then you go back to 1 year again. No. So it is permanent and it is irreversible. You cannot grow and come back to your initial size. So we say all living organisms, be it plant and animals, they grow. So it is a character that is shared between plant and animals, growth. All plants grow and all animals grow. The only difference is the way they grow. In animals, growth is in all the parts of the body. When you are growing, your hands cannot grow faster than your legs. You grow equally. But in plants, you see that there are branches that are bigger than others. So growth in plants is slightly different from that of animals. When we go to discuss the topic growth, you are going to see what is the difference in growth between plants and animals. But for now, you should know that living things grow. So growth is one of the characteristics of living things. We now look at the next characteristic, that is movement. The ability of living organisms, both plant and animals, to shift or to alter the position or to sort of move from one place to another, that ability is called movement. Living organisms move, though plants are fixed. They can only move their parts. That is maybe during wind, plants can move the branches, move other parts of the plant, but plant cannot change position totally from one place to another, while animals move from one place to another. Thus, there is slight difference in movement between plant and animals. But whatsoever the movement, usually animals move in search of food. They also move in search of reproductive mates. That is, an animal can move from this place to another in search of food. An animal can also move from this place to another in search of sex mates for reproductive purposes. And also, it can move for protection. That is, if an animal is staying here and there is danger in the place, definitely an animal will move from that place to where it is safer for the animal. So movement is a character for both of them, but there is difference. In animals, there is total movement from one place to another because they can shift their position because they have organs of movement. So they can move, though different organs of movement in different organisms. But in plants, they don't have those organs that can make them move. You cannot plant a maize here, then you expect the maize to shift from one farm to another. No. So plants are fixed in position as far as movement is concerned, though they move their own body, but not like animals. Then the next one is nutrition. The ability of living organism to feed. That is known as nutrition, even though the feeding is different in plants and animals. Plants, generally, we refer them as producers. They are known as autotrophs because plants produce their own food or manufacture their own food through the process of photosynthesis. And when they produce the food, animals, we now depend on the food. So we are not producers, but we are consumers. And animals are referred to as heterotrophs, while plants are referred to as autotrophs. These ones are producers, these ones are consumers. So that's the differences in nutrition. Whatsoever, you should know that nutrition is one of the characteristics of living things. Nutrition in plants is slightly different from nutrition in animals. As we go on, we are going to discuss, or we are going to see the difference between the two types of nutrition. The purpose of nutrition is for the animals to grow and to perform other activities, because the moment an organism does not feed, there is problem. The growth is not going to be proper. Many activities will not go normal if there is no feeding. So the ability of organism to feed is known as nutrition. The next character is respiration. So the ability of living organism to take in oxygen in their environment, release carbon dioxide, to burn down the food they have taken in order to release energy. That process is known as respiration. So in animals, they have special organs that are for respiration. Like in human beings, we have the lungs. Though we take in the oxygen through the nose, but it goes to the lungs for the function. So different animals have different organs for respiration. But in plant, respiration takes place through the body surface using organs on the body surface of the plant. Those organs will be mentioned when we come to treat the topic respiration. But for now, I want you to know that respiration is one of the characteristics of living things. Both plants and animals respire. That is, they take in oxygen, release carbon dioxide, which they use to burn down the food they have taken to release energy. So respiration is one of the characteristics of living things. Then the next one is reproduction. The ability of living organism, that is that plant and animals, to produce young ones or to produce offspring, that ability is known as reproduction. So both plants and animals reproduce. Without reproduction, some plant and animals must have become extinct by now. That is, some plant and animals, you will not even see them because they are not reproducing. But with reproduction, generation is passed from one generation to another. So reproduction in plants and reproduction in animals can be either sexual or asexual. There is a little difference between sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction in plants and animals. But we are now going to explain the difference here. When we get to discuss the topic reproduction, you see the difference in reproduction, that is in plants and animals. But for now, I want you to understand that reproduction is one of the characters of all living things. All living things reproduce. Without reproduction, some organism will not be existing by now. They will not have been in existence by now. So reproduction keeps the existence of living organisms from one generation to another. Then the next character is excretion. Excretion is the ability of living organism. You know, when you feed, the food has been broken down, it has been used by the body, so the part of the food that is not useful to the body is being removed out. That process of removing waste product from the body is known as excretion. That is the ability of living organism to remove unwanted product or to remove waste product from the body. That process is known as excretion. The same thing, as I said, animals have special organs for respiration. Plants also have organs, but they might not be the same with that of the animals. When we discuss the topic excretion, you will now see the organs of excretion in animals and the organs of excretion in plants. But you should know that excretion, both plants remove waste product and animals also remove waste product. That is products that are not useful in their body. That is excretion, is a character for both plant and animals. Then the next one is adaptation. Is the ability or the way living organisms get used to the environment. That is your ability to stay in your environment without any problem. That is what we call adaptation. If an animal, that environment is not conducive for the animal will have to suffer. So the ability of organisms to change their ability or to change their capability for them to live in that particular environment, that process is known as adaptation. It can also be the process of change by which organism or species become better situated to the environment. This is done in order to survive. Meaning when an organism is in a particular environment, it has to change some of its behavior, live in that environment successfully. That is adaptation. Then the next one is competition. Competition is struggle. When you are struggling to get something, that is competition. So usually organisms, plants and animals in a particular environment usually struggle for particular resources. That struggle is what is called competition. Like plants, they will be struggling for light, for photosynthesis. They struggle for water, for photosynthesis, and other things. Even animals, if you are in a particular environment, if there are scarce resources, you have to struggle to get what you want in order to survive. So that struggle is what is known as competition. So plants and animals usually compete for resources in their environment. Then the last character is death, which is inevitable. Death, that is, every organism has a definite and limited period for existence. We all know that you cannot exist forever. You have a particular lifespan that you just have to go. So that process of leaving the world, that is what we call death. And since any living thing will have to experience death, anything that is living, there will be a day that that particular living thing will not be there. So death is one of the character of living things. All living things must die at a particular time. And every organism will have to go through 5 stages of life. That is birth, when you are given birth, then growth, maturity, decline, and death. So living organisms experience this. Let's now quickly look at differences between plants and animals. Plants and animals are all living things, but there are differences, as I said. In plants, most plants are green. That is why they photosynthesize. They are called autotrophs, while animals are called heterotrophs because they do not produce their own food. Growth is mainly restricted to apical meristem and continuous throughout life. That is, growth in plant is throughout life. But in animals, when you reach certain age, you have to start growing. Maybe by 18, all your organs have grown. So that is when you stop growing. But in animals, they grow almost throughout their life before the life ends. Then plants are fixed or stationary without organs of movement. I said plants cannot move, but animals move from place to place. Then the next one is plants have slower response to stimuli, to external stimuli. That is response to sensitivity. In plant, it is very slow, but in animals, it's very fast. Plants do not have specialized excretory system, as I said, while animals have well-developed excretory system. Then they possess no special sense organs. That is in plants, while in animals, they have sense organs that are specialized. Then number 7, gaseous exchange in plant is through the entire body surface. That is, in plants, the entire body surface, you have some structures or you have some organs which the plant use for exchanging gas in and out of the body of the plant. While in animals, gaseous exchange is through specialized organs. As I said, you have the nose through which the gas will enter, then it goes into the lungs. That is where gaseous exchange takes place, and that is a special organ, the lungs. But in plants, you do not find that. So we have come to the end of this lesson, but before I go, I will have to summarize what we have discussed. At the beginning of the lesson, we defined biology as the study of nature or the study of plants and animals. Also, we said we have branches of biology, zoology, and botany. The one that deals with the study of plants and the one that deals with the study of animals. Then we have seen also the characteristics of living things, which we said we have growth, we have irritability, nutrition, reproduction. We have seen competition, adaptation, nutrition, excretion. So we have seen about 10 characteristics of living things, where we have explained one after the other. Then we have seen the differences in all these characteristics. There are differences. We said in nutrition, plants are autotrophic, while in animals, they are heterotrophic. So we have seen the difference. Response here is very slow in plants, while in animals, it's very fast. In animals, they have specialized organs for excretion, respiration, and the rest, while in plants, you don't have specialized organs for that. So with this, we have come to the end of this topic. But before we leave, I have assignment for you, which I expect you to answer and send through my number. Number 1 assignment is define biology. That is, I want you to define the term biology the way you understand it. Then the second assignment, number 2, is briefly explain 5 characteristics of living things. That is, out of the 10 we explained or we have discussed, please pick 5 and explain, then send it through my number. Then number 3, state 5 differences between plants and animals. I also stated some differences. So pick 5 out of these differences. When you are going to send this, please try to tabulate the difference. When we say tabulate, we mean you should put it in table form. When we put it on table form, plants here, animals here. And please remember, your point must match one another. It must correspond. That is, if you say, number 1, plants are autotrophic, then your answer in number 1 on the plant, on the animals, it should be heterotrophic. Number 2, plants are this, then on the animals, talk on that same thing, what you have said in 1. Because some of you, when you are said to write any difference, when you say number 1, plants are this, when you go to animals, you talk about another point separately from what you said. So if your points are not corresponding or are not matching each other, you are not scoring the point. So make sure when you are going to state the 5 differences, tabulate them and make sure your points are matching one another. So for your submission and assignments, comments, and other observation, you can reach me on my number 070-3158-6058. And you can also contact these references for your assignment. You will have essential biology for secondary school, then Modern Biology for secondary school, then Nelson Functional Biology for senior secondary school. So you can consult these 3 books for your assignments, and you can get me through my number 070-3158-6058. So thank you, stay safe and keep learning. Thank you.